Welcome to All the Right Questions podcast. I'm Jordan, and I'm looking forward to today's topic, which, as you can see, is unlearning the good girl conditioning. This is one that I have quite a bit of thoughts on, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think as well. So, I do want to start off with just a brief overview of exactly what I mean by that and a few statistics so that you guys can really see the ways that we're impacted by this without even realizing. So, women are often socialized to prioritize being agreeable and accommodating, which can limit personal growth. Overcoming this conditioning involves self awareness, challenging societal norms, and embracing self expression without guilt, right? So, yes, as we all know that women, just for whatever reason, we're taught to be the nicer of the two. We're so polite and so passive aggressive and so indirect, afraid of confronting issues head on. And to me, honestly, I think that that shows up as a problem in many different areas of our lives. So let me just give you a few stats so that you can understand exactly what I mean when I say that. Studies show that women are interrupted more frequently than men in meetings and conversations, reinforcing the idea that they should shrink themselves. That is not okay. I know that each and every one of you have probably been in a position, one or another, where you are getting overlooked and ran over in a certain scenario because that is the expectation. But the issue is, even if you are a woman who doesn't necessarily fear the idea of standing up to someone who's trying to run over you because of the fact that you're a woman, then all of a sudden we get seen as the B word, we get seen as rude, we're aggressive, we're all these things. But the truth of the matter is, why is there a clear distinction between the way that is perceived as opposed to men? I literally remember seeing once a video of Beyonce and she was preparing for a tour. And if you know anything about how she is, she's a perfectionist to the T and she's extremely hands on in her process. And so she was mentioning the lighting and just her as a black woman, the lighting is not the right shade and makes her look this and that. And the different pieces on the stage that needed to be moved in order to help her vision come together. And everyone in the room was just like, oh, we'll change that. And she's like, I said that already. I said that yesterday. And for some odd reason, I remember seeing people in the comments that are just, oh, well, that's so rude. Why is it though? To be very clear, she may be a woman, but at the end of the day, she is also the person who is giving everyone there a job. If I have a tour and you're the coordinator and you're in charge of lights and you're the designer and you're the that and the next, she's employing dozens of people at one time. So, in what world is the boss not allowed to make requests or to ask for certain things? In what world is that not okay? And if you had gone to work and your boss specifically asked you to do something or not to do something, and you very clearly disobeyed that order, what do you think would happen the next day? But because of the fact that she's a woman, somehow it's perceived as her being rude and aggressive. There's nothing rude and aggressive about it. Another statistic. Research indicates that women who assert themselves in leadership roles are often perceived as less likable compared to male counterparts. I guess I jumped the gun on that one. Here we literally go. This is a prime example. Body image pressures. The idealized female body is often portrayed as slim, leading to higher rates of disordered eating amongst women compared to men. The pressures that women are being put under all across the board is putting people in a messed up situation. I've seen and heard scenarios where men or spouses, women, whatever, are feeling comfortable to comment on someone's body. They prefer this, they prefer something else. And to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, I've been told something like that as well. I guess the difference is it kind of went over my head because I really don't care anything about it. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, but it's not gonna be, and I don't feel the need to conform to societal norms, expectations, certain body types. I know what I think looks good, and that's what I'm going for. And you can either stick with it or you can find something else. But how bold and brazen is that to feel like you're in a position to comment on the way that somebody else should look? But so many women unfortunately struggle with saying, I'm not okay with that. I don't like that you said that. Many women report feeling guilty when setting boundaries as they have been conditioned to prioritize others' needs over their own. I feel like this is something that is all across the board. Women are overextending in the workplace. Women are overextending in these relationships. Women are overextending even as a parent. And it's not to say that you can never do too much for your child, but let's be clear, it takes two to have one. So the idea that the woman should be the primary parent is a no go. That's a no fly zone for me. And to be honest, whether or not you have the dynamic set up, well, maybe this person doesn't work, but you're still a parent. How do you explain that to your child? I decided to be a 20% parent because I work and your mom doesn't. So bills needed to be paid. Bills would have always needed to be paid in any scenario. Does that mean that you have the right to opt out or to step down or to minimize your role as a parent in predicaments where you could be the one to step up? Now, being at work is one thing, very reasonable. But what about the time where you're not at work and your kid wants that toy or to play or something to eat or help with their homework? If you're right there and in a position to do it, does that now give you the right to say, no, this isn't a part of my 20%? I actually don't feel like it just for the fact that I work and you don't. So I really actually want to hear what your thoughts on that because I don't really see it. As a whole, though, I do want to touch base in many different areas. So we touch base already in the workplace, but I feel like it also shows up a lot in relationships. And I don't know how much people realize it. There are a lot of people who are in situations where they're not really being respected, they're not truly being prioritized, and they're allowing it to go on just for the sake of they don't want to feel combative. They don't want to feel like they're nagging or complaining. But my question, I guess, is what's the line between communicating your feelings and complaining? What is the line between being problematic or being ungrateful, however you like to phrase it, and simply communicating your thoughts and feelings? Because my perception about relationships is literally just this. You can never fully know every single thought that a person is having, every single need that they want. You're really meeting a blank slate when you get with a person. And I don't believe in the idea of holding on to your past tendencies and bringing it forward. To me, it doesn't really matter what your past partner was interested in. Everybody is different. So just because your ex liked to sit across from the table, well, maybe your current likes to sit side by side. Maybe your ex liked something in the bedroom. Well, maybe this person likes something different. Maybe your ex didn't care to go on any dates, but maybe your current person absolutely does value date night. So I believe that you should always start off as a blank slate. So in the event that you're on a blank slate, that means you now have someone in front of you who you don't know, but you need to learn in order to care for them in the way that they desire to be cared for. And then obviously, it's supposed to be reciprocated. So, how is it that a person is supposed to know what you like, what you don't like, what they should continue, what they should stop without you actually communicating that to them? So, is it nagging or is it communication? Is this person the problem for saying how they feel, or is this a person that is avoidant and selfish and uninterested in whatever things that you're saying you need out of that relationship? Now, does that mean that every single thing about a person can or should be changed? Absolutely not. You should never get to a point where you're starting not to recognize yourself, but there are just certain things that are standard for you to be willing to budge. There's no way that two people are ever going to merge without both people having to compromise on some end. So it is unfortunate when you have women who are taught to be so sweet, keep sweet. But how can you ever really get what you need out of even a romantic partner if you're too afraid to really say how you feel and if you're too busy stepping on eggshells? I just think that it makes no sense, and it's a recipe for disaster because in that scenario, only one person can be happy. And to be very clear, it's about the person who does not feel the need to tiptoe. Another scenario that I do feel is interesting. I'm gonna go back actually though to careers because here's the thing. That's crazy. Sorry. So here's the thing. When it comes to careers, right? No one should just be aggressive and bombarding their way through the workplace. However, Women deserve the opportunity to speak up without it being seen as an issue. I saw something recently where it was basically saying that women are more likely to be judged and what was it? Women are more likely to be judged and retaliated against. There we go. For requesting a promotion or requesting a raise. Why is that? There is a reason as to why some people speculate, and I know this is gonna sound kind of weird at first, but just hear me out. A lot of people seem to believe that women do not belong in positions of power because they are unable to make the tough decisions. But one could argue that maybe they could, but they could not get to the top because the same bold moves, let's be very mindful not to call it aggressive, but the same bold move that a man was willing to make in order for him to increase and for him to get those three promotions to the top, when she made those same decisions, she was judged for it and held back for it. And she wasn't eligible for those promotions because she was rubbing people the wrong way. She's a bit abrasive. She's all of these things. So you've put a person in a position where it's almost like they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. So do what I need to do, then I'll be chastised for it. But then if I don't need to do what I need to do, then I'm stuck and I'm stagnant and I can never get there. So is it that women are not capable, or is it that we are stifled on the way to the top, that we're overanalyzed in the workplace, and that is just it's unreasonable and it's not fair. I would just recommend just be you. Don't allow anybody to force you into submission, because here's the thing, if you are damned if you do, then damned if you then don't don't be nice. Don't tiptoe, don't step on toes. Be mindful of the fact that you are at a workplace, and also people are human even prior to speaking about these are our coworkers. Treat people as humans, but at the same time, don't forget that you're a human too. And that is where it goes wrong, is that for some odd reason, we are so kind and so thoughtful when it comes to other people, but sometimes I think it's to our own detriment. We don't need to be placed on the back burner in any way. We absolutely deserve to walk in our truth. And if that's something that you're struggling with, I would strongly urge you to take the steps to just handle things differently, because at some point you have to break the cycle if you really want to be able to walk in your true purpose and you really want to be able to kick the door down in these scenarios. You deserve to do that. There's no reason why you can't. Let's see. I know that I had don't be likable, setting boundaries without guilt. So that's another thing I think is important to talk about if we're going to focus on making the changes. You have to be okay with setting boundaries and understanding there is no need to feel bad. There is nothing that you are doing wrong. It's a quote that I've always heard and always loved. The only people that don't want you to have boundaries are those who benefit from you not having any. So keep that in mind whenever you're setting boundaries. You deserve like any other person. Consider how you are when it comes to someone else. Very attentive, you're fully aware, you're able to read the room, and think about the things that you don't do in order to make sure that you are not being disrespectful and you are not crossing boundaries and lines. Why wouldn't you think that someone should be doing the same thing for you? You deserve the respect that you give out. So if there is truly something that you do not like, you don't need to have a justification for it. There's no need to justify it. It just is what it is. We are allowed to like and not like different things, and we're allowed to communicate that. So if you've set that boundary and you've communicated that in a respectful way and in a way where the message is clear, there's nothing to feel bad about. You've played your part because that's all you can do. The same way people set boundaries with you, you're allowed to do the same thing in return. And that is what should be happening. Because if you don't set boundaries and you allow people to walk all over you, not only are they disrespecting you, but you are disrespecting you. And honestly, what's worse than that? It's one thing where to me at least, I think it's one thing for a person to do me wrong or for someone to, I don't know, disrespect me or whatever. But me feeling like I played myself, now that is different. So, yes, it's just a no go. I don't know who decided that this was a great idea. Just kidding. Obviously, we all know who decided it, and it's absolutely working out in their favor to the T. But it's not going to happen anymore, ladies. It's 2025. We are doing things different. That Lori Harvey thing, that is one of my favorite things ever. Always just remember that you are the prize. Can you repeat that? You are the prize. That's one of my favorite things ever because honestly, my mom always told us that growing up. I have 5 siblings. 2 sisters, 3 brothers, and yes, that message was clearly communicated year after year after year. You are the prize. Everyone should feel like they're the prize. So if you feel that way, then there's no reason why you would feel the need to be timid because you're worried about what someone else's reaction is going to be. If you set a boundary with someone and they make that a problem or they want to remove themselves, then guess what? The trash has just taken itself out. You should be grateful because personally, I don't like to touch trash. So shout out to you. It's nothing to think about. There's nothing to think about. You should be so happy. You set those boundaries, and the people who care about you and the people who honestly intended to do right by you and to respect you. It's a given because no one is just looking at you like a rollover if they respect you. They're expecting that at some point or another, they may not know exactly what it is, but yes, they're fully aware that there will be certain things that you don't like and that they cannot do, and they will be more than happy to oblige. So if that is not the person, then guess what? You've got a person that is now benefiting from your lack of boundaries, and that is a problem. And more than that is the problem, you're the first problem. So we're going to focus on what we can change first, which is you. Stand on it and don't budge and don't feel bad. Let's see. Is there anything else that I will want to talk about when it comes to this specific topic? Just trying to look through my notes. Oh, I wrote this one down. Embracing no as a complete sentence. There needs to be no explanation, babe. What you said. And there is no need to over explain. I am not going to lie. I think I used to be a little bit guilty of that. What is there to say? There's nothing to say. Sometimes it's just kind of, why do you need an explanation? Some things are just so clear. Sometimes it's just a matter of, because I said no, because that's what I thought, that's what I felt, that's what I wanted. So I like that. That requires you to be able to really stand tall. Say it with your whole chest when you say it. Don't whisper it. Don't blink. Don't look down. Don't slouch those shoulders. No. I love that for all of us. Let's see. Communicating clearly, honestly, redefining success on your own terms. Literally, that can be whatever it is that you want it to be. It doesn't have to be that for another person. And here's the other thing, too. I just want to throw that out there. I think that a lot of women are really just concerned about perception. And I think it's just the wrong way to look at it. It's just not the right way. Don't worry so hard about how you're going to be perceived, right? Because the right person for you will not have an issue with the way that you are. So the longer you choose to pretend to be something else in order to keep someone that is palatable for them, you A, lose yourself, and B, prolong the amount of time it'll take for you to find the person that would have been totally fine the way you were, that would have been totally fine with you being honest and authentically yourself. So do not ever do that. No, be you, be transparent, be reasonable now, right? You don't want to be just straight in the wrong and you're like, but that's just me. No, within reason, be who you are, what you like. If that's a show that you want, watch the show. If it's certain activities you want to do, if it's whatever, certain genres of books that you like to read, be you and be proud and don't think anything of it. You do not need to conform to absolutely anything. Just be you, be great, and call it a day. So, yes, I guess for right now, I will wrap it up there. I am obviously getting used to this channel. So, this is, I guess, my first official episode. I did post one other one, but it really was just a test run because for whatever reason, I don't know, I do a lot of this. But when it was time to get on camera, because I feel like I'm a pretty low key person, it would just always go left. So I was like, you know what? Let me just do a test run so that when I'm ready to do the real one, I'm used to just putting the camera up and go. So that is it for today. And I guess I'll be back soon. Again, I'm Jordan. This is All the Right Questions podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next time.